Hello, folks. It is so wonderful to be here with you, my friends and comrades, on International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Earlier today, I was asked to give reflections on resistance and hope, and we thought it'd be worth it to share this with you too. Because on days like today, it is often hard to hope, hard to dream, hard to recall what it feels like for times to be better. Because we live in a world that is, as David Onley once said of Ontario, not a place of opportunity, but one of countless, dispiriting, soul-crushing barriers. We cannot look away from this material reality, friends. The promise of a barrier-free Ontario is not just a promise denied or unfulfilled. It was a structural and fundamental mirage. A story told to us to make us believe that through gradual, slow investment and effort, an ableist society would fundamentally change itself. The AODA has become a shadow of a promise, an empty vessel that our hopes have flowed through onto the floor of our legislature, like water from an overfilled drain. We have seen the crushing power of the government come to bear not to repair these dreams or to make up for countless years of austerity, a la former Premier Mike Harris, but to make our province just a little bit worse. We see this in Bill 6, attacking unhoused communities who are fundamentally communities that are disabled and are experiencing disablement every day that they lack affordable, accessible housing. And we see this in Bill 10, which has turned the province's landlords into drug cops to prevent their own possible threats under the law, which immediately puts so-called supportive housing at risk and puts every disabled tenant under immediate threat. We see this in Bill 17, which directly incentivizes the creation of new long-term care facilities for profit while undermining cities' ability to build above and beyond the Ontario Building Code. And we see this in Bill 60, which directly impacts every disabled tenant by shortening deadlines and making it easier to evict us in every way possible. It is disabled people who will suffer, who will miss connections and miss out on clear access to justice. And the federal government has done us no better. The Canada Disability Benefit is also a failure. $200 a month plus a one-time payment of $150 if you need to renew your disability tax certificate is not lifting anyone out of poverty in this country, this province, or in any city. And Mark Carney knows it. They've heard us many times, as has every previous government. They turn our ideas for systems of support into empty signifiers and vague promises unfulfilled. So this is a pretty grim picture, my friends. We are living in the nonsensical aftermath of the so-called common sense revolution. Still, we remain as a collective under-resourced, under pressure, and under attack. But what gives me hope is simple. We remain, and we remain fighting together. At each and every one of these junctures, we have had disabled communities coming together in direct, overt, and loud resistance. Carney, Ford, and the ruling class may act as they do, but we have not let the moment pass us by without raising hell, and not just ourselves alone. Often, disabled communities are left out of wider movements for social justice, we know. And we know that even then, only some disabled people are often centered in our movements. But instead, here in our communities now, something is changing, and a new force is being born. The promise of disability justice is a promise to center those most impacted, to view ourselves not as mythic, all overcoming supercrip individuals, but as full people, interdependent on each other in solidarity. We are engaging in solidarity, my friends, with other movements every single day. We are engaging in solidarity across our disabilities and experiences. And we have brought together organizations and communities that are willing and ready to fight. We've seen this in the recent fights against these bills, and we've seen it too on the picket line for care workers. We've seen it on the front lines of the struggle for disabled and injured migrants. And we've seen it in every movement for justice. We are there, we are integral, and our communities are everywhere. So then, my friends, we must be prepared to continue. To resist ableism is to build community. To build community is to build trust and power. To use that power, we must resist and we must win. We simply do not have a choice, my friends. Otherwise, we will lose our friends to MAID or to the violent waves of reinstitutionalization that are gripping several provinces, like British Columbia and here in Ontario. It does not matter if a disabled person is in a long-term care facility or a psych ward or other types of care facility or a prison or an encampment or an inaccessible apartment. Every single one of us must be free, free to simply be. It is no longer enough to imagine a world of laws and policies to make this ableist world believe in our value. We will show them. We will show them through our power together, our power and will to act together for justice. I call on each and every one of you listening to me today. It is not simply enough to have Disability Justice Network of Ontario or BC or any other number of organizations around today. Instead, my hope is that we will continue to build new forms of organization, new ways of coming together, because we will ultimately always take the time we need, but we cannot rest down the struggle. So build your own collective, take up the actions that speak to your heart, and demand not a little, but everything. Disabled people are everywhere, and we deserve the fullness of the world to be ours. We cannot be kept from it by the power of the ruling class. And what that fullness of the world looks like would shock you in how much it would cost us to achieve, dollars and cents wise. We often talk about how little we're given through ODSP, OW, WSIB, or other programs, but not about the amount we need to thrive. Now, according to the Wellesley Institute, in Toronto, to thrive, that would cost us over $85,000 a year. And in Mississauga, that's over $105,000. And friends, few people, let alone disabled people, have that much money and support. And this could be taken as a sad reality, but I don't see it that way. Instead, we have to ask ourselves, what is the limit of our hope? How far can we imagine beyond what we are given? And what will it take to get us there? But to paraphrase Marx, it is not enough for us to think about how to do it. But the point is to change it, this world. I know together we can. We must do so. But for that, we must expand our hope beyond survival, beyond accommodation, and towards building that world, again, where we are truly free to be. I hold hope even in the face of crushing systems of power, because I know the revolutionary power found in our communities. We are proof every day that this system of profit and productivity is built on a lie, that human life does not need to be structured in this way, that we can, in truth, live outside these confines with joy and fullness. We know that times are hard, that every second we find ourselves in struggle. But we must hold to this revolutionary optimism and never, as the now late Alice Wong reminded us at her passing, let the bastards grind us down. Solidarity, friends, across every border and barrier, now, always, and forever. Thank you.